Good day, everyone, and welcome to Obidient Family TV. The program is Hope Alive. Yes, there is hope, and a new Nigeria is certainly possible. Now, good morning, afternoon, and evening, depending your time zone. Today, again, we are here to discuss the happenings in Nigeria. As you know, yesterday, the labor unions, the NLC, the TUC, they all down tools in Nigeria. And the Trade Union Congress, which the TUC has, they have all suspended their industrial action as at happening now over a lack of consensus of a new minimum wage and the hike in electricity tariff for 1 week. The TUC president, which is Festus Osifo, that is coming from the TUC, confirmed this in Abuja today after a joint extraordinary National Executive Council meeting of the two unions. Now, this very, let me quote them, a joint neck meeting of TUC and NLC has approved to relax the industrial action for 1 week with immediate effect. This is what Osifo said. Now, both unions down tools yesterday to register their grievances over the hike in electricity tariff, lack of consensus on new minimum wage, and other things. The development granted activities in critical sectors of the Nigerian economy, with schools, businesses, hospitals, airports all shut. The national grid was also shut down, throwing the nation into darkness. And with me to have this very discussion of these very 5 days that they are laying off to see how they are coming back to the table with the federal government, I have Divine Dons in the studio and I have Otto Chibeze.
Very warm welcome and thank you for joining us on this live broadcast.
Pleased to have you here. Welcome.
All right, let's get straight to the matter today. As everybody knows, it is no longer news. We expressed that very thing happening as at yesterday, that there is every likelihood that, let's say, that they are predictable. These labor unions are predictable. And we predicted yesterday that they are going to suspend this strike, not even 48 hours, not even 24 hours into the strike, it is suspended. Now, we have reactions coming out from their from the meeting that they had yesterday with the government yesterday. And in that very meeting, let us be mindful to the fact that they were already citing coercion in their meeting, because they said that they brought in a lot of army personnel, soldiers in the event and surrounding them and all of that. Now, whether they took that decision out of a coercive environment or that they just felt that they need to give a breath into the federal government, that is the things that I want us to get. But before we take our own reactions here and at Obidient Family TV, let's first see the reactions of people on X, online, because we have a lot of Nigerians who are reacting to this very particular arrangement they have with the federal government, signing documents that really does not take into cognizance the fact that people are suffering in Nigeria, and taking an open discussion of 60,000 upwards review without a specific sum. Let's get reactions from people on X, and then we'll come back to have this discussion in the studio. We'll start with the councillor. Sonny said, this NLC and TUC plus FG matter is just funny. Why above 60K? Above 60K can be 60,150 naira after Zenith Bank remove electronic levy. They should insist on 100K and above. He says senators are stealing more than this amount per sitting. Cutting the senator's salary should be among their terms. According to that is from this. So let's also take another tweet. This very one is from Rex.
Okay, so Rex says, Una do gra finish with 495,000 naira. Write episodes like St. Paul to the missionaries only to fold at 60K. In fact, you guys were never serious in the first place. This is coming from Rex Z.
Yeah, that is Rex Z. Very, very definite about saying that it is more of gra, you know.
Right.
Well, Well, let's just say that they are foolish. We'll get to these discussions. Let's get to this very one that is calling from Babalola. Let me take this. He said, Labour would be foolish to end the strike on the premise of a general offer. The federal government has proven to be faithless. Above 60,000 is no definite amount. It could be anything, including 60,100 naira. We will be back on strike within months. This is coming from Bambilo. Then we have this very one that is coming from Ayemo Juba.
Okay, he says, NLC and TUC, be serious for once. Many people depend on you. No one wants the country's economy to be paralyzed by a strike, but sometimes action is necessary to compel the government to do the right thing. Stand your ground until everything is signed and implemented. This is from, this is also from Precious Solomon with the username Solo Heat on X. This person says, won't be surprised if not 61K or 65K be the above 60,000 naira government is offering again. If it's not above 150,000 naira, strike continues. We suffer it to the end. Nigeria must be good. We never voted them, so they can throw in the towel.
Yes, so we can see a whole lot of other things. But before, let's get back to the studio to have this very discussion. Reactions are coming out from Nigerians. And there's let's say the most population of Nigerians and most things trending online right now is the refusal of Nigerians to agree with the TUC and the NLC. Let me start with you, Divine. Let's even look at it from some of these reactions that are coming out. Some of them said it will be foolishness to actually agree to suspend this very strike. So should we say that TUC and NLC is foolish to have, actually suspended this very strike?
Well, to be very honest, I want to cut them some slack in to the fact that they said for 5 days. So I think I'm going to have this conversation if after 5 days they go ahead with, this purported, strike, because I think they're probably giving them the 5 days to say, what, government, let's see what you can do within 5 days. If after 5 days the Nigerian Labour Congress does not enforce in its entirety this strike and make sure that their demands are heeded to, then I will know that they are not very, serious people, because they have a habit or an antecedent of, just over preparing for underwhelming experiences. They just do too much, but last minute they chicken out. And so I'm expecting that these 5 days they gave the government is just them being a bit lenient to see if they are going to get what they want from the federal government. If after these 5 days we don't see anything useful from this strike, or we don't see them coming back in full force, then we can have conversations about them.
Let me take it a step further.
All right.
You're cutting them a slack. Have you looked at the antecedents of this NLC and the TUC? For example, we know different times, even since last year when they're threatening to go on strike, they will even go on a one-day strike like this and go. And on each of the occasion, none of those things that they asked for from federal government were ever actualized. So cutting them a slack, where is it being premised? Is it that that's in next 1 week they are going to disorganize people again in Nigeria? Everybody shut down the airports all over again because they could not hold their ground.
Well, the slack I'm particularly cutting them is not to say that they've been particularly good or been faithful to this cause or the causes that they've been trying to get from the federal government. The slack I'm cutting is just I'm giving them, would I say, the benefit of the doubt to see if after 5 days, the 5 days is not really premised on them, but rather it is on the government. They're saying, if after 5 days we don't get anything particularly useful from this, then we're going to go ahead with it. So it's now left on the Nigerian Labour Congress. I understand your point about looking at their antecedents, and truly they have not always kept to their words when it comes to their strike actions. They're always chickening out of it. But the slack I'm cutting them is just so we see, just for a moment, just so we give them the space of, okay, 5 days after, God will keep every one of us alive. Let's see what they do with these 5 days. Let's see what the government comes up with within these 5 days. And if they don't get what they want, let's see how the Nigerian Labour and the TUC react to it. That's really my point.
Thanks for your input there. I'm coming to you, Otto Chibeze. Let's look at this thing once again. We have had reactions from Nigerians on X, and a lot of people. It's just that we can't take all the reactions that are in. Now, having suspended this very strike, can you clearly, in a sentence, tell me what we have achieved?
Well, we are still in the process of negotiations. So what this means is, when you go in actions like this, it's all about negotiations. 2 parties are involved, or rather 3 parties are involved. So it's all about conversations around what this person is asking for.
Conversations has been going on.
Yes.
I suppose this is not the first time that the discussion of minimum wage has arisen. And I also know that there are tripartite committees that have been set up by the federal government for a while. So the discussion of minimum wage has been there even before anybody had anything about the change of national anthem and all of that. They have been existing. Now my question is, having done Monday strike yesterday and suspend today, what have they achieved? What has the TUC and NLC achieved to have suspended the strike? That's my question.
Well, they've gotten the attention of the federal government to start with. They've achieved that, and that is why it's a negotiation. But if I were to take it up more, I don't think that is a good outcome, because the communique, the agreement they entered into or whatever, does not even in any way represent by half or even by quarter what the NLC and TUC is going for. I mean, you're talking about 494,000 naira here, and somebody is telling you that he's willing to get above 60,000 naira. So for me, I think they're only able to get the attention of the federal government, and that is just its simplicity.
Now that you have mentioned the agreement that they signed into, let's even read that very agreement. When you did, as I did read the agreement, you will find out that there is nothing inside that very agreement that supposedly warranted a suspension of the strike.
Yes.
I mean, federal government came out here. Okay, let's read it. This is the resolution reached at the meeting between the federal government and the organized labor held yesterday, Monday, 3rd of June 2024. Let me read. Further to the negotiation by the tripartite committee on national minimum wage and the subsequent withdrawal of labor from negotiation, the leadership of the National Assembly intervened on 2nd June 2024. The organized labor declared nationwide strike on Monday, yesterday, June 3rd, 2024, to drive home its demand. Now, you get the word, to drive home its demand. Second, the federal government in the national interest convened a meeting with labor held in the office to the government of the federation on Monday, yesterday, with a view to ending the strike action. Third, after exhaustive deliberation and engagement by both parties, the following resolutions were reached. 1. The President, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, Federal Republic of Nigeria, is committed to a national minimum wage that is higher than 60,000. I will repeat, that is higher than 60,000. And we know the antecedents throughout their negotiation. It has been 3,000 naira they have been adding on each time. So I'll not be surprised it will be 63,000. Let me continue. Arising from the above, the tripartite committee is to meet every day for the next 1 week with a view to arriving at an agreeable national minimum wage. Now I understand. This committee, for them to sit for this next 1 week, there is an amount that is being paid to them. There's an interest they have. If they are on this committee, they are being paid
to convene,
for being in that committee, for sitting allowance and all of those things that comes in between. So they want to take part of this thing and let Nigerian people now accept whatever they are going to agree with. Let me go to the third thing there. Labor, in deference to the high esteem of the President, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, Federal Republic of Nigeria commitment as in 2 above, undertakes to convene I suppose it's convene the meeting of their own meeting of the organs to be able to, immediately to consider these commitments. And 5, no worker will be victimized as a result of the industrial action. That one, a story. Let's come back to studio as we know. See, let me again start with you. You said you caught labor a slack. I'm not cutting labor a slack. I must be very, very straightforwarded on these things. Cutting them a slack is something that we have done previously in the past. It's not just about the wage. It's about the hunger that is in the land. It is about the economic hardship that is hitting everybody that we are talking about. So it's not just about the minimum wage. It's about everything that is happening in Nigeria now, that even when they said that let the people breathe, we are not seeing anybody breathing.
At all.
So, Divine, I'm not asking you to change your stance on giving them the slack, but I want you to know that I understand the economic impact of yesterday's action. But what I'm trying to bring out here is that, of course, we have been through suffering in Nigeria. There was a time there is even no money. The masses don't care if you fly the airplanes because they are not flying. You understand? The masses are not the ones suffering this. Even talk about, oh, there is a national shutdown. They have not seen light, no NEPA for them. So they don't even know that such a thing are. You get my point. Now, the hospitals are not working. It's only the elite that know when they have issues. Because I will tell you, in those rural areas where the real Nigerians are, in these grassroots, none of them is working. Are you getting my point? So I understand you're cutting them a slack. But the people that this very shutdown affects mostly is one, the federal government, and also the elite.
Yes.
Why can't they sustain it for the sake of the masses who are the minimum? We're talking about the minimum wage. Let's even see their faces when they announce this very something. They will be very happy as they announce it. Let's hear from this very committee when they made this very announcement. We'll come back. We'll not go take.
Minimum wage and subsequent withdrawal of labor from negotiation, the leadership of the National Assembly intervened on 2nd June 2024. The organized labor declared nationwide strike on Monday, 3rd June 2024 to drive home its demands. The federal government, in the national interest, convened a meeting with labor held in the office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation on Monday, 3rd June, with a view to ending the strike. After exhaustive deliberations and engagement by both parties, the following resolutions were reached. The President, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, Federal Republic of Nigeria, His Excellency Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, is committed to a national minimum wage that is higher than 60,000. Arising from the above, the tripartite committee is to meet every day for the next 1 week with a view to arriving at an agreeable national minimum wage. Labor, in deference to the high esteem of the President, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, Federal Republic of Nigeria, is committed in paragraph 3 sub 2 above, and takes to convene a meeting of its organs immediately to consider this commitment. And for no worker will be victimized as a result of the industrial action. Down in Abuja on the 3rd of June 2024. And this document is signed for the federal government by the Minister of Information and National Orientation.
Even, look at it, like I said, don't worry about my, I'm kind of provoked with the suspension, but I think maybe cutting them a slack, like you said, is something that may happen because we don't have an alternative in place.
Well, like you rightly said, I think my point is basically, when I said cut them slack, I wasn't saying we should clap for Labour, because to be honest, we understand that they've not particularly made the average Nigerian worker proud with the way they've been acting as regards this whole strike and minimum wage thing. The slack I meant was that we don't have a choice but to wait out the 5 days, right? So like, we're going to wait out the 5 days or 1 week and see what they come up with at the end of the day, right? And if after we see them, they don't come up with something that is actually going to be beneficial to the average Nigerian or the Nigerian worker, and they don't continue with the strike, then I will personally be in the forefront of actually, you know, doing the whole name calling and all of that against the Nigerian Labour Congress. I'm just saying we don't particularly have a choice but to wait out their 5 days. So that's what it is.
Okay, and your last words on this, because we don't have all the time on this, so that we can be able to look at what His Excellency Peter Obi talks on Heritage Bank. But let's get your final thoughts on this.
Well, my final thoughts are they are doing their thing, but on a broader view, this is not going to get Nigeria working, like you said, because they have their own benefits that they are getting. Those who are feeling the impact of this strike are the masses. So strike action or no strike action, the president, the senators, the reps, they are still enjoying life. They're going outside for their medical bills. They have lights. They have enough funding to fund lights. So whether the power grid is down for 1 whole year, it's not going to affect them. So they are not at the end of the hardship. So I mean, let's keep listening to Labour, but this is not going to get things working as it were. Thank you.
All right. Okay. Thank you. And we'll quickly look at the other things that are happening as His Excellency Peter Obi has made a speak. He already voiced his own opinion on the happenings of a revocation of the Heritage Bank's license. So His Excellency Peter Obi has voiced his concern regarding the Central Bank of Nigeria recent revocation of Heritage Bank PLC banking license. In a statement which he shared in his social media handle, PO expressed his worry over the potential impact on depositors' funds, emphasizing the need for the federal government to ensure the prompt and full repayment of all deposits. He acknowledged the necessity of the CBN decision for maintaining financial stability, but urged, and also which he posted the harsh economic realities facing Nigerians, particularly individual savers and small and medium-sized entrepreneurs. His Excellency Peter Obi highlighted the potential repercussions of any delays or denials in payment to depositors, warning that such actions could worsen their economic difficulties and undermine confidence in the banking system. Let me quote him. On no account should the actions of government through the CBN destabilize the financial system or shake public confidence in the integrity of the system. Well, with that, let's just have the input of ours and also look at the tweet itself, the Peter Obi's tweet, which obviously we want our producers to show. Let me start with you. You know, this issue is really why I can see the reason why His Excellency Peter Obi is voicing his concerns on this, because he's a banker. You understand how these things work. Yes. A lot of people, funds are trapped, you understand me, in that very bank right now. And now that they have revoked the license, people may be able to access their funds easily, you understand. And it's going to take quite some time before anything of such, of them getting their money back. Yes. So what are your thoughts on this very particular thing, especially the effect it will have on majority of the people who are banking with Heritage Bank? You know,
His Excellency made mention of shaking the public confidence on the integrity of the system. And you remember that a few days ago, we saw what happened in First Bank, where misappropriation of funds that was meant for, what we call reversals. They have their reversal account, so the person who is in charge of the account kept on, channeling funds to other multiple accounts, So this coming after that is going to definitely work in such a way that people are going to start to lose confidence in the banking system. So His Excellency is very, very correct and going straight to the point, telling the CBN that irrespective of the fact that you are revoking this license, but let us make sure that these people's deposits get back to them one way or the other. By that way, you are still maintaining that, yes, there was an error, but we are refunding you to show you that there is still credibility in the system, regardless of things going on.
Okay, well, the next question I want to ask is there not a way when we say that a bank is not strong enough that they actually call for mergers or something like that? I understand in the case of Access Bank Diamond, they kind of, in a way, called it a merger. When you see a smaller bank, is to find a stronger bank and then create an atmosphere where they can they can come into merger instead of just outrightly revoking the license.
Well, the thing there is, when you revocation of a license is different from situations that can lead to merger. Revocation of license means you no longer have the license to operate as a bank. That means you can't even merge as a bank. So, but then if you revoke a license, there will definitely be provisions for a time stipulated for certain actions to take place in order to reach out to those who are deposited and then finally conclude the operations of the bank. So it's not going to be revocation. Is not. It doesn't take place immediately. It's a process that revocation takes place, but for the bank to stop operations is going to take a while every other issues are resolved.
Okay, all right. I think we may not be professionals on the banking sector, but I just felt that some of these things has been happening in Nigeria. We know the likes of Access Bank when they took, and even all the way from the Intercontinental Bank, from Akim Bola or somebody who happens to be the GMD then, and he was pushed out, and then we have Wiki and the rest of them that now took over and all of that. Right. But anyway, I think we might just look at it, see how those things play out. But we want to tell our viewers that for people who bank with the Heritage Bank, they should have the confidence, just like His Excellency has cushioned the federal government and the central bank on ways to go. So we believe that their funds should be safe somewhere, you understand, and AMCOM or whoever is taking over this bank should make sure that the people that their money are trapped in this bank are giving back their money. If possible, give them some sort of, what do you call it, profit from their money, because that money is there and should be yielding profit. Money should not be stagnant, cannot just be in a plate. If they're taking that very money, or if they're keeping the money for like 3 months, or if they're keeping it for a long time, there should be an accrued interest that should go to them. That is what and with that, that is what we have. We'll be looking at what the reactions that will be coming up more as we come back later in the evening, where we showcase some of the things that are happening in Nigeria. But before you leave, I will not fail to remind you, wherever you are, to join the Obidient Family Cooperative Society. It's a structural framework, and registrations with the state government is happening in all the states in Nigeria. Currently, Obidient Family Cooperative Societies have structures in over 300 local governments in Nigeria. And currently, close on 70 local governments are registered with their state governments, and they have started engaging each other in a business of mutual benefit. So wherever you are and you are watching us from Obidient Family TV, join the Obidient Family Cooperative Society. It is not the political arm, it's for welfare of the people. Until we come back in the evening, where we get you reports from the local governments and other news around across Nigeria. Bye for now.
Thief them. I'm telling you, it's so annoying.
All right, lastly, before I let you go, I mean, if government decides not to move away from the 60,000, will this strike continue? And do you think this strike will yield any result?
I know what make you finish your question. If they like, may they say no. Say they no go. Say may they still die for that 60,000 naira when they talk to you. Then from there, now they go know say a hungry man is an angry man. And when the hunters learn to shoot without missing, so the birds learn to fly without perching. They go here and they go collect woto. Not as the way they do. So you get where we go do and reach now. We go they walk out for street, they destroy them, they kill themselves.
Thank you so much.
Because a hungry man is an angry man. As with the first, so my brother, as I come here this morning, so I never shop. I've been my children, they forbid to go to high school when their children they go. They go carry their children, thief our money, take carry their children, go better school. When they finish, they'll come load their children over us again. They return say, experience, do you qualify? Do you have this qualification? Qualification kill their parents there. Qualification kill them. Nonsense people. Nonsense idiots. You know how much senator they collect a month? Even their SAs, those days we go school, say we no want be touts. Now touts be their SA and others, what they do for them. And do you know how much they collect? They collect above 300,000-400,000 naira every month. If they say we know, for just kukuma sit down for touting. So that all of us go, they do touting.
That's all you be.
Before they do touting, then we'll come suffer, go school finish, now we'll come manage, come enter the civil service work, then they'll call the suffer us. They'll call the suffer us. So as time goes on now, we'll go join the touting, so that make all of us the tout,
better.
Yes.
In the capital Abuja, which remains empty. It serves as the engine room for Nigeria's government operations. Workers are spotted waiting around after their offices got locked due to an indefinite nationwide strike declared by labor unions. Unable to reach an agreement on the introduction of a new minimum wage, the NLC and TUC declared the strike, which has taken a toll on the residents of Abuja as commercial banks remain shut, while public transportation became a nightmare.
I can understand this situation because some people are demanding about the minimum wage, right? And there haven't been agreement between the government and the workers, and now they're putting on a strike as some kind of protesting. It's understandable, but I hope there is a better way they can show their disagreement, or there's a better way that they can handle this.
Everywhere is quiet because people have complied, because everybody is tired with this present government right now, because people are suffering, there's no food. Even if the food is available, you cannot afford it.
By this time of ours, if there is no strike, I believe I'm about to have make at least minimum of 300,000 by now. 300,000? By now. So today, no customer. She has already cooked. The food now will be wasted.
Deliberations have been ongoing. Tinubu announced the termination of petrol subsidies in May last year. Protests after protests by the labor unions have not yielded significant results. While the federal government is proposing 60,000 as minimum wage, the labor unions described the offer as pittance while demanding 494,000 naira instead, after previously requesting 615,000 naira. The Minister of Information says if the government concedes to the demands of Labour to implement a 494,000 naira wage bill for 1.2 million federal workers, this will amount to 9.5 trillion naira annually and will be unrealistic and not sustainable. The National Assembly leadership has also intervened in the situation between the government and Labour, but with no major outcome. Now, the unions are asking for a decent sum or they will prolong the nationwide strike.
The new government came in last year and the first thing they did was to increase the pump price of PMS. Of course, you know variables that will come with the increment of PMS. Price increase in food, virtually everything. Transportation, where I used to come before, I come with 200 naira, I will come with 800 naira. And Labour just said, pay the Nigerian workers 400 and something thousand, and government is coming with 60,000.
The workers, we are suffering. Everybody in Nigeria is suffering, and we want it to stop. That is why we are crying that they should please, even for us to be here under this action, it bleeds our hearts. We are crying inwardly. We are not enjoying it because we believe that a child that is serving the parent should not cry for food because before he or she being served.
One union official says the present economic reality no longer aligns with a 35,000 naira minimum wage salary.
I want to believe the tripartite committee that was formed to look into this issue engaged a lot of stakeholders, which Labour are one, Manufacturer Association are one, NEC are one. Labour ensured that there was every stakeholder involved. And for that reason, the business society are well informed and they are aware of this.
This strike action has gained support from other unions across Nigeria, although the National Association of Private Proprietors opted out. However, the Nigerian Labour Congress and the TUC are insisting that until a new minimum wage is implemented, this strike will continue indefinitely.